Have you ever looked at a Yu-Gi-Oh archetype and thought, man, even I could design a better deck than this? Well, I've got the hubris to actually give it a shot. Every so often, I'll have a moment of inspiration and think, oh my gosh, what if we had a deck that did this? And because I'm a giant nerd, I'll go out and actually build the dang thing. I try not to fall into the usual trap of custom cards, where they're either insanely broken or totally incoherent. I know a bit about problem-solving card text, and I'm an active player of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, so I try to make these cards as balanced and as realistic as possible. If you're a fellow duelist looking for some fun, unique ideas for Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks, then pull up a seat and stay a while. And after you've watched the video, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the deck in the comments. But without further ado, welcome to Konami, Please Hire Me. Episode 1, What It Takes to Be a Hero. A couple disclaimers off the bat. The cards in this video were created using Dueling Book, and the link is right here on the screen. Also, I in no way claim any of the artwork used in this video as my own. I found them on Google Images, and all credit goes to the original artists. Seriously, you guys are awesome, and I love your art. That's why I used it. I'm not trying to steal any of your thunder. Also, if anyone at my job is watching this, the title is supposed to be a joke. I'd like to keep my job, please. So anyway, what's the big idea of this deck? Well, my friends and I love synchro summoning. Synchro summoning is one of our favorite summoning mechanics, but it's a little tired, and it's struggling these days, or at least it was when I made this, which was back in Master Rule 4. Why was it struggling? One of the biggest reasons was hand traps. They were everywhere. It was pretty difficult to finish your turn without getting hand trapped into oblivion. Still is. But I thought to myself, what if I could make a deck that synchro summons from the hand and tries to dodge as many of these hand traps as physically possible? I knew I couldn't dodge all of them, but I could dodge a lot of them. And, of course, making this deck gave me the perfect opportunity to show off some of my favorite art from my favorite anime, My Hero Academia. Let's go. So first, I think I should show you the field spell that holds the entire deck together. This field spell is called My Hero UA High. It says, if a My Hero Synchro monster is special summoned to your field by the effect of a tuner My Hero monster, you can add one My Hero monster from your deck to your hand with a different name from that tuner monster, but for the rest of this turn you cannot add other monsters with the same name to your hand with the effect of My Hero UA High. You can only activate the effect of My Hero UA High once per chain. Now, if I have any Cybers players in the audience, you're going to notice a lot of similarities to a card called Cynet Kodak. It basically does the same thing for the Code Talker archetype. So the point of this card is, as I am synchro summoning from the hand using up my resources, I need a way to replenish them and to continue fueling my combo lines. So this card will allow me to search the pieces that I'm missing so that I can keep playing. It is crucial to the deck, and if it's removed, the entire strategy starts to crumble. Next, I'll show you the tuners. The best one is our protagonist, My Hero Izuku Midoriya. He's a light level 4 warrior tuner effect monster with 2000 attack and 1500 defense with an effect that reads, you can discard this card and send one non-tuner My Hero monster from your deck to the graveyard as a cost. Special summon one My Hero Synchro monster from your extra deck whose level is equal to the combined levels of this card and the monster sent by this effect. This is treated as a synchro summon, and it's a hard once per turn. So Izuku Midoriya is the best of the tuners because he can use non-tuner materials in deck, which gives you a ton of flexibility for not only levels, but also which effects you want to trigger of your non-tuners. He's the one that you want to start all your plays with. He also has the highest attack of any of the level 4s. Next is My Hero Tenya Ida. Ida is a wind level 3 warrior tuner effect monster with 1400 attack and 1000 defense with an effect that reads, you can discard this card and target one non-tuner My Hero monster you control and send it to the graveyard as a cost. Special summon one My Hero Synchro monster from your extra deck whose level is equal to the combined levels of this card and the monster sent by this effect. This is treated as a synchro summon, and it's a hard once per turn. So as Izuku used materials in deck, Ida uses materials that you control on field. Third, My Hero Ochako Uraka. She's a light level 3 warrior tuner effect monster with 1300 attack and 1100 defense with an effect that reads, you can discard this card and one non-tuner My Hero monster from your hand as a cost. Special summon one My Hero Synchro monster from your extra deck whose level is equal to the combined levels of this card and the monster discarded by this effect. This is treated as a synchro summon, and it's a hard once per turn. So she uses materials in hand. And lastly, My Hero Suyu Ushi. She's a water level 2 warrior tutor effect monster with 1200 attack and 800 defense, with an effect that reads, you can discard this card and banish one non-tuner My Hero monster from your graveyard as a cost. Special summon one My Hero Synchro monster from your extra deck whose level is equal to the combined levels of this card and the monster sent by this effect. I should adjust that to say banished by this effect. This is treated as a synchro summon, and it's a hard once per turn. Asui uses materials in graveyard. What's neat about her is that in later turns you can also use the synchros that you've made previously to get up to some higher level ones. Next, the non-tuners, starting with My Hero Katsuki Bakugou. Bakugou is a fire level 5 warrior effect monster with 2200 attack and 1300 defense, with an effect that reads, if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished for the synchro summon of a My Hero Synchro monster, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. You could only use this effect of My Hero Katsuki Bakugou once per turn, so he provides spot removal, or he can also pop your own cards, and in certain cases that's useful. Next is My Hero Shoto Todoroki. Todoroki is a water level 5 warrior effect monster with 2100 attack and 1900 defense, with an effect that reads, this card is also always treated as a fire attribute monster. If you've watched the show, you get that, he's fire and ice. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banished for the synchro summon of a My Hero Synchro monster, you can add one My Hero Spell a Trap card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of My Hero Shoto Todoroki once per turn. So he gives you access to your spells and traps if used as a synchro material. If you don't open the field spell, this is one of your more common ways to access it. Next is My Hero Fumakage Tokoyami. He's a dark level 4 warrior effect monster with 1700 attack and 1200 defense. With an effect that reads, you can discard this card and one other My Hero card, draw 2 cards. You can only activate this effect of My Hero Fumakage Tokoyami once per turn. This is the most ashable effect in the deck. Everything else you'll notice kind of dodges it effectively, but still gives you consistency, allows you to fuel your graveyard early on if you open an Asui. It's just nice to have. Next is My Hero Eijiro Hiroshima. He's an Earth level 4 warrior effect monster with 1200 attack and 2000 defense. With an effect that reads, during either player's turn, you can discard this card and target one My Hero monster on the field. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects this turn, hard once per turn. So thematically, he is the brick wall. He can harden himself to become immovable, unbreakable. The effect tries to match that theme. Next is My Hero Momo Yaoirozu. She's an Earth level 3 warrior effect monster with 1500 attack and 700 defense, with an effect that reads, you can discard this card and target one My Hero monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but its effects are negated. You can only activate this effect of Momo Yaoirozu once per turn. So she is the generic reborn of the deck, right out of the hand. I thought if you kept the effects active, that would be a little bit too broken, especially because it doesn't lock you by synchros or any kind of level lock. So this is just a good way to get a body back on field, either to continue to combo off, or to just bring back a high attack beater. Next is My Hero Denki Kaminari. He's a light level 3 warrior effect monster with 1800 attack and 600 defense, with an effect that reads, if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished for the synchro summon of a My Hero Synchro monster, you can draw 1 card, hard once per turn. It's just nice to be able to draw cards, I don't know what else you want me to say. My Hero Mina Ashido. She's a dark level 2 warrior effect monster with 1300 attack and 700 defense, with an effect that reads, if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished for the synchro summon of a My Hero Synchro monster, you can target one monster your opponent controls, flip it to face down defense position, and this is a hard once per turn. So Mina just gives you a nice piece to break boards. She forces negation if you target something, because it has to negate or it's flipped face down. My Hero Minoru Mineta, he's a dark level 1 warrior effect monster with 500 attack and 500 defense. If you control no monsters, you can shuffle 5 My Hero cards from your graveyard into the deck, and if you do, draw 2 cards, hard once per turn. This is a pot of avarice if you don't have anything else going for you, gets you back into the game, to give you some resources. My Hero Mezzo Shoji. He's an Earth level 4 warrior effect monster with 1600 attack and 1500 defense. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banished for the synchro summon of a My Hero Synchro monster, you can add one My Hero Mezzo Shoji from your deck to your graveyard to your hand, hard once per turn. So Shoji replaces himself, which is thematically interesting because his quirk is dupla arms, so just making copies. he just searches more copies of Shoji, which is good for comboing and synchroing with. Then My Hero Honta Cerro wraps up the non-tuners. He's an Earth level 3 warrior effect monster with 1500 attack and 1400 defense, with an effect that reads, if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished for the synchro summon of a My Hero synchro monster, you can target one face-up spell and trap card on the field, return it to the hand. So this is good for outing floodgates, or any opponent's field spells, continuous spells, things you don't want to have to deal with. Now we're moving into the synchros. First up is My Hero All Might. He's a light level 9 warrior synchro effect monster with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. He requires one tuner My Hero monster and one or more non-tuner monsters. They all have the same recipe, so I won't continue to read that. His effect is that he cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Once per battle with an opponent's monster during damage calculation, quick effect, you can double this card's attack during damage calculation only. So he hits like a truck, and it's really helpful if you say Detroit Smash while you use this attack. Next is Eraserhead. He's a dark level 7 warrior synchro effect monster with 1500 attack and 2100 defense. With an effect that reads, once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one face-up monster on the field. Until the end of this turn, that target's attack becomes 0. Also, that target's effects are negated. So this is thematically interesting because his ability is the erasing of other people's quirks, which is their word for superpowers. So, by decreasing attack to 0 and negating effects, you are erasing that monster's ability to impact the board state. Next is My Hero Cementos. He's an Earth level 6 warrior synchro effect monster with 1000 attack and 3000 defense, with an effect that reads, your opponent cannot target My Hero monsters you control with card effects except this card. Also, your opponent cannot target My Hero monsters you control for attacks except this card. So he's a magnet for targeting effects and attacks, and he's got a really big booty. Which, I mean, he's cement, so I hope that makes sense. Next is My Hero Endeavor. He's a fire level 8 warrior synchro effect monster with 2800 attack and 2400 defense, with an effect that reads, if this card is synchro summoned, you can inflict 800 damage to your opponent. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to half that monster's attack. He's a fire monster with fire superpowers. He burns things. I hope that makes sense. My Hero Best Genist is a wind level 7 warrior synchro effect monster with 2400 attack and 1800 defense, with an effect that reads, once per turn, you can target one card your opponent controls and one My Hero card in your graveyard as a cost. Return them to the hand. So this is interesting because not only is it removal going second, but it's also ability to grab back some resources, maybe a tuner, that you could then use the hand effect of. So it fuels your ability to keep playing, as it also breaks your opponent's board. Next is Edgeshot. Edgeshot is a dark level 8 warrior synchro effect monster with 2100 attack and 1700 defense, with an effect that reads, once per turn when your opponent activates its spell or trap card or effect, quick effect, you can banish this card, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy that card. During the end phase, if this effect resolved this turn, you can special summon this card. So it removes itself from the field, which back when I made this in Master Rule 4 was important, so it would clear out your extra monster zone, and it also negates spells and traps. This is a great go-to for the deck. Next is My Hero Recovery Girl. She is a light level 5 warrior synchro effect monster with 600 attack and 1400 defense, with an effect that reads, once per turn you can target one My Hero monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and if you do, gain life points equal to half that target's attack. Momo was a much more limited monster reborn. Recovery Girl is not limited in any way. It can reborn any My Hero monster in attack or defense, and it gives you some life points back, which thematically makes sense because Recovery Girl heals you. Next is My Hero Present Mike. He's a wind level 6 warrior synchro effect monster with 2100 attack and 1300 defense, with an effect that reads, once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one My Hero monster you control and one My Hero monster in the graveyard. The attack of the first target is increased by half the attack of the other until the end of this turn. So, thematically, I guess he boosts you, or turns up your volume, I don't know. Not all of them can be winners. Next is My Hero Midnight. She's a dark level 7 warrior synchro effect monster with 2300 attack and 1700 defense, with an effect that reads, once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. Now, the fact that this is a quick effect on a monster that stays on the field means that she can decimate graveyard strategies. Very important for the deck. Next is My Hero Mount Lady. She's a dark level 9 warrior synchro effect monster with 1600 attack and 2800 defense, with an effect that reads, I'm not going to read it, guys. She's Stardust Dragon. That's all you need to know. Sometimes I'm not creative. Next is my hero Gran Torino. He's a wind level 6 warrior synchro effect monster with 1500 attack and 1100 defense. With an effect that reads, once per turn during either player's turn, you can target 2 My Hero monsters with different names in your graveyard and tribute this card as a cost. Add them to your hand. So you do have to give up 2 to make Gran Torino, and then he tributes himself to add 2 back, but if they're really key monsters, sometimes it's worth doing. Next is my hero Kamui Woods. He's an Earth level 7 warrior synchro effect monster with 2200 attack and 1700 defense. With an effect that reads, your opponent cannot use monsters they control as material for a fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link summon. Basically makes your opponent play on your level, where you're only using materials in your hand to make such plays. It's a very powerful floodgate. If anything we're going to get banned in this deck, it'd probably be this. Next is my hero number 13. She's a dark level 5 warrior synchro effect monster with 1300 attack and 1300 defense. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can target 1 My Hero monster you control, banish it until the end phase. So this can be good for clearing out your extra monster zone, because again, this was made in Master Rule 4 when that mattered, and it can also help dodge effects that would remove your monsters from the field. Then there's my hero Snipe. He's a dark level 6 warrior synchro effect monster with 1700 attack and 2100 defense. His effect is once per turn during either player's turn, you can target 1 set spell or trap card your opponent controls and destroy it. This is very good against back row decks because as soon as they set their traps, you can just destroy them. And last for the extra deck is my hero Principal Nezu. He's an Earth Link 1 Beast Warrior Link effect monster with 500 attack and a downward pointing arrow. Requires 1 synchro My Hero monster to make. If this card is Link summoned, you can add 1 My Hero card from your deck to your hand. If a My Hero monster is synchro summoned to a zone this card points to, you can special summon 1 My Hero monster from your graveyard. You can only use each effect of My Hero Principal Nezu once per turn. So Nezu helps you get more synchros on the field, he clears out your extra monster zone, and then when you can summon to his Link arrow, he'll bring back the synchro that you got rid of to make him. So just helps you have more synchros on field, really. And then we'll close out with a couple spell traps that really aren't that helpful anymore. This one is My Hero plus Ultra. It's a continuous spell that allows you to target a My Hero synchro monster you control and move that monster you control to another of your main monster zones. If this card leaves the field, you can add 1 My Hero monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. So the fact that it allows you to move things was a lot more helpful in Master Rule 4. Not really useful now. And if it leaves the field, you can search, which if you want to use Bakugou to pop this to get a search, you can do that. But again, that was more helpful back in the day. And last but not least, this one is pure theme. It's My Hero One for All. It's a quick play spell that reads, target 1 My Hero Izuku Midoriya you control and reveal 1 My Hero All Might in your extra deck. Replace the targeted monster's effect with the revealed monsters until the end of this turn. You can only activate 1 My Hero One for All per turn. So, yeah, this one, if you've seen the anime, you get it, but otherwise, it's not really that useful of a card. Alright, so here we are in the Dueling Book Test Hands room, and I wanted to show you guys what the deck can do now that you've seen all the cards within it. So this hand is pretty lit, because I've got easy access to the field spell, I've got my plus ultra, and we are going to pretend this is Master Rule 4. That's going to limit us a little bit, but it's going to show kind of why I made the deck the way I did, and what it was meant to do in its time. So I will start out with Terraforming to grab the best card in the deck, the field spell, My Hero UA High. I will activate it, and then I will use the best play starter in the deck, Izuku Midoriya, sending it from hand, and another monster from grave. And usually I would send Todoroki, but in this case I have access to the best 2 spell cards. So at this point I'm actually going to send Denki Kaminari to the graveyard to make a Synchro 7. My Hero Kamui Woods. Now I'm going to build a chain. So I've got my field spell triggering to search. I've got Kaminari, because it was used as synchro material, it'll draw a card. So I will do field spell chain link 1 and Kaminari chain link 2. So I'll draw, and then the field spell will search a My Hero monster not named Izuku Midoriya, Ochako Uraka, to my hand. Now I will link 1, because this is Master Rule 4, and I want to make sure I've always got zones, into Nezu. Now Nezu will trigger to add a My Hero card from my deck to my hand. Fumakage Tokoyami from my deck to my hand. And then with Tokoyami's effect, I will discard it, as well as One for All, because it's not really useful at the moment, to draw 2 cards. Okay, so we got a little bit of redundancy going on, but that's fine. Next, I will use the effect of Uraka to discard this card and 1 non-tuner from my hand to Synchro Summon. And you'll see Ochako is a 3, and Shoji is a 4, so I'll make another 7, and I will make Aizawa. Now I've got a few more triggers that'll happen. I've got Nezu, which is going to reborn something. I've got my field spell, which is going to search a My Hero monster. And then I've got Shoji, that's going to search another copy of itself. So I'll do field spell 1, Shoji 2, and Nezu 3. Nezu will bring back Kamui Woods. Shoji will search another Shoji. And the field spell will search another monster. And I will add Ida. Then I will activate My Hero plus Ultra, and I will activate the effect, and I'll move my Aizawa to a different zone, thus freeing up another another monster zone for me to use for Synchro Summoning. Next, I will normal summon my Mezzo Shoji, because I haven't done that yet. And then I will discard Ida and send Shoji to grave to make another Synchro 7, Mount Lady. Now at this point, Shoji is a hard once per turn, so just my Hero will trigger to add a different name from my deck to my hand. In this case, I'm going to add Bakugou, because Bakugou will have a lot of utility for me next turn. He can either pop an opponent's card, or he can pop one of my plus ultras right here to get me a search, which would probably get me access to my field spell or my Midoriya. And I know I've got a tuner in hand as well for next turn, so I'm pretty well set up to continue my push should things go poorly. But I know I've got a Floodgate right here in Kamui Woods. This is going to hurt my opponent's ability to fuse, Synchro, Xyz, or Link. I've got Eraserhead that's got some negation as well as stat reduction. And then I've got Midnight, who's got a DD Crow effect. So this is a pretty strong board, and even if it's not like the world's strongest, I definitely have follow-ups for next turn. So it's very interruptible. It, like I said, it dies to Nibiru, but it works, it does what it does, and I just think it's a really fun, unique mechanic, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.